sPVP, Guildwars 2's forgotten game mode. Not forgotten by the players, but forgotten by the developers. Alright, that's a little hyperbolic. We are getting the new push game mode here soon, so this is a perfect time for us to talk about the competitive environments here in Guild Wars 2 and how you as a player of any skill level cannot suck in this game mode. Some of these later tips will also carry over to other games or world versus world, so keep those in mind as well. To start, we will be talking about some specifics. In sPVP, it's a 5 vs 5 matchup with 3 primary nodes and usually a special mechanic. Sometimes this causes your points to be more valuable, sometimes it gives you a special mechanic as an individual, and others just give you a flat amount of points for your team. For the most part, the nodes themselves are the most important objective, and the ring the bell or so on is typically used for comebacks or snowballs. So if you're winning, you can effectively secure the objective without giving up too much, or if you are losing, you really need to push for those objectives to make a comeback, and that's when you should prioritize those objectives. The gameplay is more or less simple. Focus on capping, decapping, and opening up opportunities for the enemy team to make decisions. Sometimes these decisions are right, sometimes they are wrong. For instance, during a mid-team fight, charging past the actual capture point to bait a 2 or 3 versus 1 on the enemy team might seem like a bad decision, except you are actually now giving the enemy team the option of either engaging with you off point and in some cases securing a kill, or ignoring you and focusing on the point itself. In the best case scenario, you will have a 3 or 4v4 and you will essentially fracture the enemy team. This is often a starting scenario, and most random teams will peel off a single person to cap their home node. Now, this is just an example, this isn't an actual strategy, but making decisions like this and opening up the enemy to make counter decisions is a way of metagaming sPVP environments. There are a lot of different strategies that can be played to force these decisions and give your team an advantage. Outside of this, you have general builds in Guild Wars 2, and in sPVP, the build structure is a little different than in PvE, where normally you have DPS, boon support, and heal support. In sPVP, you have general supports, duelists, and roamers. Supports are pretty similar. These are your tanky, heal, and control-oriented builds that assist your team with Condi cleanses and general support. The Elementalist and Chronomancer, alongside some Guardian builds, are really strong in this supportive role. The duelists are your general bruisers, and typically the duelists are focused around 1 vs 1ing or 2 vs 1ing with a balance of offensive and defensive abilities, and it gives you enough juice to kind of hold off 2 vs 1s or provide pressure during fights. And finally, the roamer role. Roamers in the current meta are Thief and Willbender, who focus on high mobility and outnumbering opponents, or plus oneing. Typically, roamers aren't going to want a 1 vs 1. Willbenders are kind of the exception here in the current meta, but instead they're focused around capitalizing on contested points, decapping enemy positions before jumping into a 2 vs 1 on a different capture point. Having a balance of these classes on your team is very important to the actual victory condition of any given map. If you have a team with multiple roamers or no supports, you will have a disadvantage to a more balanced team. This is more apparent in matchmaking lobbies like mobas, where the class is better defined. There are duelist thief builds, for instance, and there are support warrior builds, so it can be hard to judge if your team is balanced without being really in tune with the sPVP game mode. The last thing that is game specific that I'll be talking about is mechanical skill. Sure, there is a meta, and meta builds are often overtuned or dominant. However, a more important aspect to being good in competitive environments is mechanical skill above everything else. Understand what your skills do and when to use them in relation to the player you are fighting will be the largest determining factor of your success or failure in the game mode. If you are an absolute animal who can 2 vs 1 and win thanks to your movement and utilizing the map resources, or being able to +1 fights effectively, or knowing when to retreat and regroup, you will have much greater success than just swapping over to a meta build and trying that one out. In short, your personal skill and growth as a player is more important than everything else I just mentioned, which leads me to the truth about sPVP and how to not suck in competitive environments. You take personal accountability for the outcomes of your matches. If you lose the match, it isn't because there was an AFK, It isn't because there is a new player on your team or that the other team is cheating or cheesing using the meta. It is solely because you or I was not good enough to win the match. See, the thing is, there is one thing that is common among all 5v5 matches that you play. There is only one thing you can actually control, and that is you and your ability to play the game. You are essentially 1v9 99% of the matches you play, and you are forced to carry the game. That is the mentality that you should have, and if you lose, it is because you were not good enough and you need to improve. You can be an absolute animal, killing every player you see, but since you get decapped, your team feeds mid over and over, you will still lose, and it's solely because you were not good enough to overcome that. There are players like Naru, like Grimjack, that will 1v9 and win, and yes, these are some of the best players in the game, but if they can do it, why can't you do it? Do you really think Naru is some gifted genius? No, he just plays the game a lot. And with some focused effort and understanding of how these systems work and how these games work, you can improve and get better too. The last thing I will say about structured PvP in Guild Wars 2 is that the game mode is neglected. So nobody really cares if you are Bronze 1 or Plat 3, nobody really cares if you are God or Goddess of the arena, and I assure you, if you walked up to me on the street and said, "Hey man, I'm Challenger rank in League of Legends, I'm a Goddess of the arena," I would hit you with a "that's cool bro," and that's what you would get for the thousands and thousands of hours that you spent achieving that. The point of the game is to have fun, and to be honest, sPVP is the only real game mode that is fair in terms of build craft, theory crafting, and individual skill that Guild Wars 2 has to offer. I know that my audience is primarily that of PvE players, and if you want to be successful in PvE, all you need to do is have a good heal chrono in your subgroup. If you want to be successful in sPVP, you actually need to learn how to play the game. If you are doing your part, you will win more games than you lose by virtue of you being on your team, and that is the only thing you actually have control over. I will do a little bit of self-reporting here, and I will say that I've played a few thousand games in sPVP over my playtime of Guild Wars 2, primarily on the Warrior, playing a full burst Berserker Axe Shield and Greatsword build with unblockable procs, and it is a build that I had a lot of fun playing, and it was fun to get kills and working the map and making these decision-inspiring plays. That is the whole point of the game mode. I completed the Ascension backpack, but the thing is, with my skill and build, I have a sub 50% win rate, meaning that I am a detriment to my team. And to be frank, I don't really care if I win or lose, but I hope to improve my ability to play, improve my understanding of the game modes and strategy, and get that win rate well into the high 50s and 60s moving forward, because really that is the ultimate goal. The currencies, the rewards are all just bonus gifts. The real gift is the griefers that we've met along the way. And I'm the griefer, by the way. I even stopped by Grimjack's stream, who is one of the top PvPers here on the NA server, and I asked him, "Yo Grim, like how do I become a top ranked PvPer?" And he said, "Yo Sil, as long as I'm still playing, you are never going to be a top ranked PvPer." And with that, I want to thank you all for watching. A big thanks to all of my subscribers, and a special thanks to all of my members who support the channel. Quick shout outs to the OG Gary, Mitch, Dr. Cookie Dippins, the newcomers Squilliam, Ao the Goat, Ed, and Joanna and Andreas. Thanks a ton for supporting the channel. And if you want to become a member, there is a link in the description, or you could hit the join button right under this video. I'll be working on my sPVP journey live on Monday mornings from 05:30 to about 6:30 a.m. PST every Monday. So if you want to see me embark on this journey, feel free to watch me get destroyed. Occasionally I'll be doing the destroying as well, but probably less frequently at first. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.